Our guests today are the Labour MP for Wakefield and Shadow International Development Secretary Mary Cray and Amjad Bashir, Conservative MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber. Amjad Bashir, 6 months have passed since you defected from UKIP to the Conservatives. Do you feel a bit sorry for your former party, UKIP? They got 4 million votes nearly in the general election, but only one seat.
Not really. I made the right move. My decision to move back to the Conservatives was the right move. I moved because I believed that the only party that could deliver the referendum was the Conservative Party, and that has turned out to be true. It won the elections outright. It's called a referendum. David Cameron's lived up to his promise, and we're going to have a referendum. So I'm very pleased to have moved across.
The leaders of Bradford and Kirklees councils say they've lost confidence in the Prevent programme. Is it working, Amjad Bashir?
I think that we have a very serious problem. We certainly, like the end of your clip, we don't want the scenes what happened in Tunisia visiting us here in England, in Yorkshire. We've had a 17-year-old from Yorkshire go across and be the youngest suicide bomber. We've had 3 families go across. This has to be prevented. And the Prime Minister's right to ask all of us and have a debate as to how we go forward. And it's incumbent on all the people, and especially the Muslim community, to tackle this radicalisation.
So why isn't the Prevent programme working at the moment?
I think we have to look at this, that psychopaths several thousand miles away are able to come into our homes and groom young formative minds and get them onto the road of terror. Why isn't it right that the parents of these children, the community at large, should be able to prevent that from happening? I think the Prime Minister has opened up a big debate that we all need to participate in.
Was David Cameron right to say a few weeks ago that some Muslims quietly condone terrorism?
I think he's right to bring up that subject. I think the Muslim community has to do more. It has to come out vigorously and say that we oppose this ideology, that we are an integral part of this country, and majority of Muslims, if not all, love this country, and we have to say it to prevent these kids who are, as I said earlier...
But when he said that, did he help the cause of trying to prevent many young Muslims in particular being radicalised by using that language?
I think he did. I think what he did was invigorate the elderly people, the community leaders, to come off and speak up on behalf of the community and partake in this. This is not the time for them to sit in their sofas and leave it to others to do. They should get involved as well.
For airstrikes on Syria, Amjad Bashir?
I think that its so-called Islamic State is neither Islamic nor a state. It has to be tackled. It's a shame on the Muslim community. The government of Iraq has to be a functioning government. It cannot be a failed state. We need to take more action in that area to re-establish the government of Iraq.
But what would happen to community cohesion if the British government upped the ante in another foreign conflict?
I think the community, it's not just the Muslim community, the community as a whole have rightly criticised what was Tony Blair's idea of invading Iraq and Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan. Afghanistan became a war of occupation over 13 and 14 years. Iraq was an illegal war. I think they were right to criticise that. But what we didn't do after all those engagements was to leave a society which was able to fend for itself. We destroyed its police, we destroyed its army, and that's why these psychopaths have been able to take over these warlords.
Sure.
Quickly, I think that we were right to tackle the Taliban in Afghanistan. This is a murderous organisation that believes that children, and especially girls, shouldn't be educated. It was right to do that. But in Iraq, we failed.
We can't go over recent history in detail right now, but I want to move on to another of this weekend's big political talking points, because we're told Wednesday's post-election budget will see a significant boost for jobs and growth in the north. But George Osborne's red box is also expected to contain details of large-scale welfare cuts, with tax credits likely to be in the firing line. Accept, Amjad Bashir, that many of the people you represent across Yorkshire and the Humber are going to be worse off after Wednesday's budget.
No, I don't. I think we've proved over the last 5 years of coalition government we are fiscally responsible. We've created 2.4 more jobs, 4 million jobs. We are pledged to create 2 more million jobs and 3 million apprentices. This is the way forward, by getting more people into jobs, earning a living, rather than having to live in despair without a job. We have to cut down the budget, the deficit. We've reduced the deficit by half, and we must continue that. That's why we won the last election, because the public trust us. They don't trust Labour.
Well, as the Northern Powerhouse, Amjad Bashir, turned into a Northern Power cut.
No, I'm a Yorkshireman. I'm committed to the Northern Powerhouse. To pause the electrification...
Not on fast trains, you're not?
To pause the electrification doesn't mean to say you've reneged on the pledge of a Northern Powerhouse. There's more to that. We've actually got the track. We've got to bring the track up to press so that we can electrify the lines. We've got to actually... We're investing in investment parks in Sheffield and in West Yorkshire, in Leeds. We are committed to spending billions in the region. So that pledge hasn't gone away. Right. Electrification might be a bit delayed, but we have to live in the real world. We can't create money out of thin air like you did in the Labour Party, and therefore created a deficit, greater deficit. We can't go on doing that. We have to live within our means.
We shall go back to Andrew Neil in London.